Hello and welcome to another Trades and Tutorials video. In this video, I am going to take a look at some of the international markets. The international markets are beginning to get a lot more attention, maybe perhaps because of the recent run-up in the Chinese markets. But really there's a lot more opportunities than just China out there. And so in this video, maybe even in a couple of follow-up videos, I am going to focus on the international markets because they are so easy to trade right now. Now, before I get into it, I just want to make sure that you understand that you can make this video HD by just clicking on the setting in the lower right-hand corner of your video player and then stop and start the video, and you should be able to see this a lot more clearly. Also, if you're just finding us on YouTube, make sure you check out marketgauge.com/tutorials. There's a lot more information there, some of which I'm going to show you right here. So let's get started. Just quickly to illustrate what I mean, if we take a look at the last 6 months of the last 3 months of the U.S. markets, you can see Nasdaq's had a pretty good run, 7%, but IWM 3%. I mean, respectable. SPY's 4%, respectable. Dow 3%, respectable. But even if we just look at these basic regions, we have 8%, 7%. Now that may not seem like a big difference between what we're seeing up in the US, even though it is almost double. What it does mean is that these indexes here, or these ETFs, encompass a number of different countries. And if you drill down into the individual countries, you'll find some really nice moves and also some really nice setups, all of which can be really easily traded with the right ETFs if you know how. So let's just, I'll show you what I mean. Let's go into, and I'm looking at our ETF Monitor product right now. I'm not really looking to sell you the ETF Monitor, but this is how I'm finding it. And so if we just take a look at the same numbers, 3-month change, you can look at 6-month change too. You can see that Europe, in terms of its phase, quite a few bullish phases. Accumulation phase is a great place to look for entries. Recovery phase, great place to look for entries. Warning phase you want to watch out for, but recovery phases as we move over to Asia, and accumulation phase, great opportunities to get in relatively early. And as you can see, just by looking at the numbers, you got quite a few countries here that have got some momentum right now. And this makes sense because liquidity is flowing to Europe. ECB is pumping money in as quickly as they possibly can. At the same time, the US is trying to pull back from that kind of stimulus. So great place to at least go start looking for some opportunities. And let me just show you what I mean. First of all, on a bigger scale, if we just look at the AWCI, or ACWI, sorry, which is the ETF for the MCSI All World Index. Check out this breakout, okay? This is a full year consolidation, just like the IWM, that has broken out, retraced, made a new high, retraced. So even if this thing pulls all the way back to here, this is a great looking breakout. This is not a pattern that I'm looking at as, you know, a couple week move. This is easily a pattern you could look back on. Now this isn't the same pattern, but you could look back on in much the same way. You had this kind of consolidation, and it goes from 57, 58 up to 61. That is almost a 10% move. Now in an index, that's huge. All right, and so as a global index, it's set up very nicely to do that. But as I said earlier, there are some countries, and in fact Keith mentioned one in his Outlook, EWI. All right, so Italy, they're just coming up through the 200 with the 50 breaking out of the 200, so you've got a positive cross there. Now, even if this breakout doesn't run right now, this is something you're going to want to keep an eye on if you want to catch a big move. I mean, look at this breakout. Even if it just goes back up to this level here, again, that's a 10% move. If it goes back up to the highs, you're talking about almost a 30% move. So these are moves that you don't try and catch in 2 weeks, but they're not hard to trade, and it enables you to diversify outside of the U.S. Now, another one that we've been focused on for a while, certainly I have, Russia. Check out where Russia is. Major inflection point for a number of reasons. Here was the major breakdown. You're right back up to that level. This is the 200-day. It has had a very nice technically driven chart here, as you can see. Complete capitulation, breaks out, retraces back. Now it's back up to the resistance level. Even if it pulls back to this level down here in 18, it's going to be worth keeping an eye on. All right, so let's look at one more. So okay, I've got Germany here. All right, now this is a much more developed market, obviously, than say Italy. Spain looks pretty good too, and actually Austria looks pretty good too. But let's just take a look at Germany. Now, Germany has a nice breakout above the 200. It moves higher, pulls back to the 50 where it's consolidating right now. I'd like to see it get into a point where we have a little better situation in being able to control the risk. But that said, if we move out and look at the big picture, all right, now I'm drawing these just to illustrate that back up, pulls back, breaks out, pulls back, breakout. All right, this is the the leading market in Europe in terms of respect, and Europe is flooding themselves with liquidity as best they can. So just like when the U.S. had the Fed with its foot to the gas, and the markets just kept pushing and pushing higher. It didn't seem easy at the time, but the trend was just robust. We can't guarantee that Europe's going to go the same way, but we can certainly pay attention to the charts and take advantage of it. So, point of this video is if you are not already watching international ETFs, there are a lot out there and you should be watching them. All right, now naturally we have ways to do this. And we're also going to do a webinar on Wednesday. I'll put the link at the bottom of this page. So if you're seeing it before the webinar happens, the link will be there. If you're seeing this after the webinar happens, I'm not so sure the link will be there. Regardless, whether you make the webinar or not, pay attention to these country ETFs. As I pointed out in the beginning of this video, there's just tons of opportunity there. You don't have to go out and sell your U.S. stocks. It's a great way to diversify before the U.S. stocks roll over, and then you wonder, what's my backup plan? So I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next video.